Romans chapter number 6.
6? Yes.
Lesson number 2 of our basic Bible doctrines that are designed for the young men, ladies, that we get to enjoy review on. Talking about the 2 steps after salvation. And so baptism is one of them, obviously. What is baptism? Well, I've been baptized. Have you, or have you just gotten wet? We have to understand what a proper baptism is. And listen, first of all, we have to understand that it's an outward sign of an inward action. That's what it is. It's just a step of obedience to show people that I've accepted Jesus and that I identify with him. Romans chapter number 6, verse number 3. Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Christ were baptized into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. So it identifies us with Christ. You can't deny it. There's, for Kiana and Clayton and Justice and Colton, there's video evidence. And aren't you glad you didn't grow up in the age of social media? There's no video evidence of all the stupid stuff you did as a kid. But they can't deny that they did, that they're not a follower of Jesus because they're on YouTube. They're YouTube stars, right? It just identifies as 1 Peter chapter number 3, verse number 21. It gives us a clear conscience. And there's like I said, it's an inward sign, or outward sign of an inward action. History, from what I've read and been told and all of that, there's only one person that has ever done, humanly speaking, what we would refer to as a great work for the Lord that was never baptized. And it was Moody. He was never taught when he was younger. While I disagree with his reasoning for never getting baptized, I'm just telling you what he said. He said when he finally realized that he should have needed to get baptized, he was too busy to do it, which I don't. It doesn't take that long. But that's what he said. And so he can take it up with God, and if we so choose, we can take it up with him when we get to heaven. It's important. That's all I'm saying. If one person that has only accomplished anything, humanly speaking, great for God, of all the people that have, only one of them hasn't been baptized. It's important. Proper candidate, right? Got to be truly saved. Acts chapter number 2. Acts chapter number 2. Verse number 41. And they that gladly received were baptized, right? This is the same day. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't I listen, scriptural? Can you imagine, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, Thursday, Saturday? Like you lead someone to the Lord, like, okay, now we're going to go to the church and get baptized. Like the water's always ready. That would be, obviously, we'd have to, humanly speaking, have to have better results than what we tend to have today. But I just say, I don't know, maybe it's just my opinion. I just think it'd be kind of cool. At any moment, 24/7, 365, they can get baptized. But listen, they have to truly be saved. the proper mode. There's only one method that the Bible gives on baptism, and that's immersion. The Greek word baptizo means to submerge. Never does it mean to pour or sprinkle. It's one of the amazing things to me. And while the next thing is talking about infant baptism, we don't believe in infant baptism, but if you can be more scriptural but still be wrong, like the Lutheran Church in Norway was more scriptural, but they were still wrong. You know, they wouldn't sprinkle babies. They don't though. Like little baby, you know, a few weeks old, month old, whatever. They had like look, a fish tank to me. They had a fish tank set up. And they dunked them for their baby baptism. Like, you're correct, but you're still wrong. I always found that shocking because I always thought, you sprinkle through, all of those things. But listen, you have to be immersed. Matthew chapter number 3. Matthew chapter number 3. Verse number 13. Then cometh forth Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized, but John forbade, saying, I need to be baptized of thee, and comest to me. But Jesus answering said unto him, Suffer it be not now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water. Right? We're supposed to be pictured like Jesus. Listen, you had to come up out of the water, so you had to be immersed. Sprinkling began in AD 250, just to give you some history real quick. Though it wasn't strongly practiced until AD 1311 by the Catholic Church. And it wasn't until 1640 that the Church of England began to sprinkle. Oddly enough, it was immersion was outlawed in England in 1640. So they actually made it illegal to be dunked. Infant baptism is never mentioned in the Bible. So you have to, then you have the proper authority. The church is the one that has the authority. Only a true New Testament church has the proper authority, right? Matthew chapter 28. Go ye into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature, baptizing them. That was given again to the church. And so they have the proper authority. And why is baptism necessary? Well, we saw it here in Matthew chapter number 3. This is an example of Jesus, right? We're supposed to be like him. Matthew, 28. It's part of the Great Commission. Acts chapter number 2, verse number 41. The early church, the apostles. It identifies with who you are. Listen, you shouldn't be following man, you should be following God. That's why it's the Lord's baptism. It's not X churches or Y apostle or anything like that. It's the Lord's, but that's why it's necessary. When should you be baptized? Again, Acts chapter number 2, verse number 41. As soon as possible after salvation. Like, earliest possible convenience. I realize in today's society, there's nothing wrong with it, but that family likes to be there, so it might take a little while. But listen, as soon as possible after salvation, after understanding. Look at James chapter number 4, verse number 17. James 4:17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. It's actually a sin once you've been instructed and shown that baptism is scriptural to not get baptized. You say, well, that's kind of a drastic statement, but listen, if you know something to be good and you don't do it, that's why there's sins of commission and sins of omission, right? There are things that we do that we're not supposed to do, but there's also things that we're supposed to do that we don't do. They're both sin. And so then the other thing, church membership. Church membership, again, Acts chapter number 2, verse number 41. After they were baptized, then what? They were added to the church. Like in the way I read it, it's immediate. Like it's almost, that's why I put these two together. It's like they just go together. Like you're baptized, you're a member of his church. Like it's instantaneous. And so look at the very next verse, Acts chapter number 2, verse number 42. Let me get over there real quick. Acts 2, 42. And they continued steadfast in the apostles' doctrine, with the fellowship, breaking of bread, and in prayers. Attributes of a church. Of again, we're not talking just because you got a name outside the doors that say church. But listen, if you're going to be a member of a church, it needs to be a member of what we would refer to as a real church, a true church. Obviously, has to be a follower of Jesus Christ, and that type of church should be a praying church. That's why we put such emphasis on Wednesday nights on prayer. So we need as much help as we can get, and we might as well get divine help as opposed to fleshly help. Chapter number 5, verse number 42 of Acts 5:42. And daily in the temple and every house they cease not to teach and preach Jesus. Listen, it should be a soul-winning church. A church that's going out and doing their best to reach the community. And so if you're not doing that, again,
Revelation. Revelation right here. Gonna have to have your candlestick taken away. A Bible preaching church, Acts chapter number 20, verse number 27. For I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of God. So, true church is a Bible preaching church. And they both go together, obviously. That's why I put them together. And so, like I said, this is just a basic Bible doctrines that it's probably a review for those of us that have been in church and saved for any length of time. But I was trying to give the young people a little, just trying to give them some hands. May not be ready for a state, spiritually speaking, but you can't live by milk alone. Listen, hey, think about this, and we'll close. Earthly speaking, fleshly speaking, do you realize that human beings are the only? I'm going to use the word animal. I realize that we're above the animals, but that drink milk as adults. Like at some given point in time, cat, dog, cow, goat, whatever, they don't do it anymore. You know, they move on to grass and herbs and meat and flesh. Listen, they don't drink milk anymore. Listen, you cannot grow and survive on milk. It's impossible. And that's true spiritually speaking too. You got to start getting some of these. Why is it that young people leave the church? Well, you were talking about this last night. It's because from the time they were in the nursery till the time they're leave high school, it's constantly no. You can't survive alone. You need some things. So I'm trying to give the young people. Let's be dismissed. Lord, we come before you this afternoon and we're thankful for today, Lord. We just pray that you give us a good rest of the week. We ask these things in your name. Amen.